Hi, everybody. It's Doc's Daily for Monday, February 17th, 2024. And All-Star Weekend, flop, let's just say. Not the greatest college basketball weekend. Saturday was a good slate of games. And then Sunday, I really thought college basketball missed out because, of course, they let the girls kind of take over. But, I mean, they didn't have anything in the NBA until 8 o'clock. So it was like they missed the whole game. They could have had some of these featured games on Sunday. But we'll talk about some free picks today. Not a lot going on because, of course, we still have the All-Star break until I believe they have one game back on Wednesday. Lakers and somebody, right? And then Thursday
is back. The
Hornets. Yeah.
The Hornets
on Wednesday?
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday. Wednesday or Tuesday?
Wednesday. Okay.
All right, and then Thursday we're back full slate. And then the NHL still off, but what a win by America beating Canada. There's nothing greater than booing the national anthem and then 9 seconds into the thing just drop the
two fights. You got to love it. The Chuck brothers setting the tone right out of the gates. Jack me up. I need my hockey back. So it was exciting to watch that USA absolutely, drop the gloves right away. That was very cool to see.
All right, free $60 account. Whoops, wrong promo. Free $60 account right here, docsports.com/free60. If you're a new customer, that's where you got to go to get in on that free 60. Today, not the greatest slate of games. I have a 4-unit play. Nick, what do you have?
Yeah, lower volume card. We just got one play today, and it's a 2-unit. Like I said, we need NBA and NHL rolling back up here, but just one play today, Craig.
And then, Griffin, you have a 4-unit play right in college hoops as well?
I have one play on college hoops side of things. It's a 4-unit selection. Yesterday, I capped off a 7-unit winner on my props. I'm coming back today. I have a 3-unit on my prop card. That's the entire slate for today, Craig.
Hey, now we didn't mention on Friday. I want to make sure we've dropped the prices to celebrate, I guess, Valentine's Day. I don't know, or just this later in the season. It's $2.99 now for the entire college basketball season. That gets you all the way through the national championship game. Not just the NCAA tournament. You also get the NIT or any of the other plays that we have in the other tournaments. Every college sports, college basketball game through the national championship, $2.99. Check it out under the grid. Just click our name and the sport you want. That's college basketball. And the NBA's dropped to $3.99 for rest of all the way through the NBA Finals. So that's even a better deal because the NBA season goes through mid-June. And I believe the NHL was dropped to $3.50, $3.25, something like that. And that once again, that's through the NHL Finals. So make sure you go check us out. And you can use that free $60. So you can use $60 towards that or just get the daily card for $30. So make sure you check that out. Of course, if you're existing customers, you can't use the free 60, but you can go over and take advantage of the deals. All right, let's talk a little NBA just to get it out of the way because I just want to get off my soapbox a little bit. But, Nick, the NBA All-Star Weekend was, as Charles Barkley says, terrible. Or was that Shaq? I don't know, one of them. But it's like it was absolutely the worst format. Whoever's idea it was, throw it away and go back to the old format.
Yeah, Draymond Green hit it right on the head. Rising stars playing in the All-Star game. Every year it changes with the NBA. They got to solidify. They got to go back to their roots. Even 3-on-3 basketball, if you have a certain amount of NBA All-Stars, let's just see them play 3-on-3 because at the end of the day, that's what it's coming down to in the All-Star game. Nobody's playing any type of defense. You got rookies out here playing on the All-Star and competing. Should not be on that stage. So Green said it yesterday. He was a little upset. And I don't blame him. It's an all-star game. It's the best out of the best. You want to see a little more competition there. I just thought it was very soft and the format was just ridiculous there, Craig.
Griffin, when we look at, I actually thought the Friday and Saturday stuff was at least a little entertaining. I don't know what we have to do to get the stars. And I mean like the superstars in the dunk contest back like when I was growing up when Jordan and Dominique would square off every year for like 4 or 5 years. I mean, if you're not going to do that, I mean, having Matt McClung win 3 in a row, great story from where he is. He's not, really in the NBA as far as I doubt that he'd be in the NBA if it wasn't for the dunk contest. Let's just say I think he'd still be in the G League. So it's a guy that, he's a great dunker. What can you say? But he's not a superstar. So I'd like to see the only guys that qualify for the NBA, the 3-point contest, all these things would actually be all-stars, would actually be fun because you actually see the greatest guys competing like on the skills contest or the dunk contest. Griffin, what do you think? I mean, is there some format change that they can make to make this weekend more exciting?
I mean, they need to change everything. For all we know, we could throw you and Nick out there and start dunking. I mean, what I'm watching on these all-star breaks is absolutely pathetic. Yes, and even watching Sports Center and everything else, all the commentators, everybody is saying the same thing. This format is absolutely horrible, and it needs to be changed. Craig, there's nothing more to say. We've seen it all weekend. Everybody felt the same way. If you went on your Twitter account, everybody was ripping apart everything.
Yep.
There just needs to be a new format. If you're going to have an all-star game, have the top players play and make it serious. There's got to be some type of incentive for these players to actually be committed in this game. It's terrible. It was a terrible weekend. Absolutely nothing to look forward to. Next year, I pray to God that they have this entire thing reformatted, Craig, because it was just boring to watch. It's the same stuff over and over again. And no, nobody's giving it their all. They're all out there laughing around, shooting. You know what? I want to know what my most exciting take out of that weekend was? I watched an Instagram reel, and kids bet Trae Young from behind the seat to take a three-point shot. And they said, if you can bang the three-pointer, we will give you $100. Trae Young smacks that three-pointer from 50 yards out, and they gave him the $100. That was the most exciting thing I had seen all weekend long with this all-star break, Craig. I'm sick of it. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. It pisses me off.
Well, I will say the one thing, at least if they're on break, the one thing the NHL and hockey has got right, this was an exciting, Canada versus USA game. I mean, that was – I would like them to see them be like, rest of the world, just take this off and let Canada and US play like, best of 5 over a 5-day period, or best of 7 and just be like, go at it. It looked like they cared, which is something. Because if you have, it's like you say, an all-star game in any format, not every player cares. That's just facts. It's just, they're just trying to get through it and not get injured. But those guys were out there putting it on like, hey, we get injured, we get injured. And Nick, you being the hockey guy, now I don't like the 2-week off kind of thing. I wish they could do this and only have 1 week off. But it was a good game, and these guys got it right.
It was a great game, and they're playing for the name on the front of their jersey. They're not playing for the name on the back of the jersey, and that's all it comes down to. It's U.S. versus Canada, the two best, I would say, countries in hockey. Of course, you got Russia in there, but whatever with Russia right now. But, hey, they're the best of the best here going up against each other. They want to win this game. It's competitive. This is what an all-star game should be. You got guys throwing gloves in the first seconds of the game. That's what you want to see as a fan. These guys care. They're out there and they're playing for their country, not for the name on the back of the jersey. And I think the NBA has it reversed right now, Craig.
Mm-hmm. Craig, you're muted.
Like the NBA took, I don't even know. I get it that it has not been good. And they at least they recognize that it hasn't been good for them. And they tried to change it. It just, they went too far. They went too far. I really feel like if they would have just said, hey, let's do U.S. versus foreign players, trying to make that work. As far as, I think there's probably enough to do that nowadays where, you get 12 on each team. Or if you wanted to go that format and they wanted to play less players, like you said, Nick, maybe play 3-on-3, 1-on-1, horse. You make it into a skills competition where you break the teams up and they get so many points for, first, so many points for second, so many, and or something like that. I don't know, but that didn't work. And the other thing that really upset me in the NBA was they decided to give the roses to TNT, like TNT opted out of trying to get the all-star game in the NBA for the next 20 years like they have the last 25 years. And it was oh, well, now we're going to give these guys and the stoppage in the championship game to give them the all that stuff was just it was already not a competitive matchup in the championship there. And then to take that was just too much. All right, but let's talk what you guys are here for. College hoops for Monday. It's not a big card. I have a 4-unit play. Nick has a 4-unit play, and Nick has a 2-unit play, and Griffin has a 4-unit play. So as you see, no top plays tonight. I do see there's a couple guys with top plays, so you can check that out in the grid. But that doesn't mean we don't like a couple other games in a lesser amount. Griffin, why don't you kick us off here with the first free play?
Absolutely, Craig. And I'm rolling right into this. We've got Kansas State at Utah. Utah coming off a massive win over Kansas in their most recent matchup. That alone in itself, Craig, is an absolute huge psychological boost to any team. Now Utah, they're playing their second consecutive home game against a team that also struggles on the road, just like Kansas. Kansas State is currently 2-7 on the road this season. Kansas State 6-4 in their last 10 games, coming off a 15-point road loss to BYU in their last matchup. This will be Kansas State's second consecutive road game. So this is a beautiful spot play in my eyes with Utah here. Utah currently right now on the boards, they rank 48th in the nation. They dominated Kansas on the boards and second point chances in the paint, which was absolutely critical to win that matchup outright. Kansas State, they're a brutal 293rd in the nation across rebounds, and they're sitting with an offensive rating ranking them 163rd in the nation. I expect Utah to win back-to-back games here and cover back-to-back games here, laying 2.5 points tonight, Craig. So give me Utah here, taking the minus 2.5. If you like a money line, anything over minus 140, 145 is a little too juicy for me. I think Kansas just blows them out, or Utah just blows them out of the water in tonight's matchup, Craig. So I am laying the points here with Utah at minus 2.5.
Yeah, this Kansas State team, 6 of last 7 or something like that, and some great wins in there. But you had to expect when they went on the road last time out that they were going to be a little less. Now they face a Utah team, like you said, that just at home, Utah and BYU both are just completely different teams at home. I mean, usually it's like a 5-6 points, as far as the numbers are concerned when you go road to home. But these teams in Utah are like 8, 9, 10 point. So it's a totally different feel when you have to go to Utah, which I watched that Bearcats loss at Utah, and it felt like they were going to win that game. And then Utah just turns it on. They always have a spurt. And I think Utah does it again. The Big 12 on the road has been them, the Mountain West and the SEC and the Big 12. Those 3 conferences winning on the road this year is absolute. Doesn't matter ranked versus non-ranked. It doesn't really matter. Nick, why don't you give us a little free play action for Big Monday here?
Yeah, let's go to the ACC. We got Duke and Virginia. I believe the current line right now is Duke minus 13.5 here. Both teams coming in this game on winning streaks. Duke is on a 2-game winning streak, just beating Stanford there on Saturday, while Virginia, they're on a 3-game winning streak here, just beating Virginia Tech. But they're playing 500 basketball here in their last 5 games. That is Virginia at home this season. Virginia is 9-5 on the season. On the other hand, Duke, they're 7-1 here on the road. Their only loss to Clemson here as of late, but find themselves, like I said, on a 2-game winning streak here. This Duke offense clearly led by Cooper Flagg. I think he's going to have a big game here as Duke averages 80 points per game. And here's the kicker. Virginia, they only average 64.5 points per game. Virginia likes to slow it down. They will slow the tempo of this game down, especially with Duke, because they like to go out in transition and score baskets here. I don't see this Virginia team being able to keep up with the Duke scoring here tonight. I know the spread is a little high on that 13.5, but I would lay the wood here with the Duke Blue Devils at Virginia on the road. I think Virginia just is not going to be able to keep up here tonight and scoring the basketball, Craig. Mute it.
Craig, you're muted.
How about it unmuted? I actually think the over is a good play in this one as well. Everybody remembers what it was, that defense, when it was with Tony Bennett. It hasn't been the same this year. And for once, they're an over team. I think it's like 14-9 to the overs this year for Virginia. And Duke can score 90 on their own. Like 90 to 100. They pretty much can name their score. They have some talent. And Cooper Flagg kind of sent a missile to the NBA when he said, I think I might come back from my sophomore year. I think every team that's losing right now and kind of sucking to be there was probably like, oh shit, like Cooper Flagg might not come out. So who knows? But what a year Duke's having on offense. I like the over in this one as well as a little small play. Now, game I'm looking at is Northern Iowa, Murray State. And usually when you see Murray State, you think about how great they are at home. If you've never seen the Racers home gym, it is like it's built for noise and built for people to be right on the court. I think Murray State takes care of business. The line's -1, and I think if this is reversed, I think if it was at Northern Iowa, I think this would be 8-9 point spread. That's how big of a difference I think Murray State's home court makes. I like Murray State. I think the odds makers are telling you Murray State's a live dog here, or live favorite here. And I think they get it done. Murray State -1. So there's a little free play action. There's one other premium game that I had for tonight. One other premier game, and that's the Arizona Baylor game. I don't know if either one of you guys have a play in it as far as your top play, but this is a really trap spot for Arizona. I mean, they had Houston last on Saturday. They had them. It looked like dead to rights at halftime, and then Houston does what Houston does. We talked about it on Friday. Yeah. I mean, they just grind you down. And after you play Houston, it's kind of like after you played the Detroit Lions this year. It was like they just wore teams out. And then the next game, they were just like they couldn't. If you bet against teams that played Detroit the following week this year, it was really good. I think it's the same for Arizona teams because the way they play, it's like Detroit Pistons style, back in the day where they just beat you up. And most teams can't deal with it. Arizona couldn't deal with it late. Do you guys have an opinion, either one of you, on this one?
Yeah, you hit it on the head, Craig. They played the Houston Cougars this weekend, and they did beat them down. Now I have to travel to Baylor. Baylor's 12-1 here at home. Arizona's coming in this game on a 2-game losing streak here. This Baylor team does not quit at home. Their most recent game went into overtime against West Virginia. They almost lost that one at home, but got it done. They had big wins at home this season for Baylor. They beat Kansas here already. I think it's going to be a tough game throughout because Arizona does not want to drop 3 in a row, but this Baylor team does not quit at home. I would take the Baylor Bears here at home on a -1.5 line here tonight, Craig.
Okay, so I think those are the games that we talked about. Those are the ones that, most people are circling, let's just say, because, they're the premium conference games. Are there any of these smaller conference under the radar games that you might like, Griffin, that you just like, maybe put you a little parlay together because, if you're right on a Monday, you got a little extra juice for Tuesday?
Well, Craig, there's a little controversy here. I want to go back to that Duke-Virginia game because I'm actually on the other side. I don't have a side on this game, but I am on a totals in this one, and it's against you. And
shit.
I'm going to go into this. So there's going to be no parlay here. We're going to go head-to-head right now, Craig. Duke, coming into this game right now, 9-1 in their last 10 games. They have one road game, and then they have to head back home before they have to play a very tough Fighting Illini team. In my eyes, Duke's going to want to leave it all on the table here before returning back home in a must-win game. Virginia, they're on a heater right now, man. They're 3-0 in their last 3 games. They're 9-5 at home. And for me, I don't like wagering on teams that bring loads of momentum into matchups. And both of these teams are doing just that. That brings me right away to a totals play. Duke, they're 6th in the nation across defensive ratings, and Virginia is 30th in defensive turnovers, 180th from the field, and 352nd in offensive points per game. We have a total sitting at a low 131.5, which that is extremely low. That's a psychological trap in my eyes. Both of these teams on winning streaks. Virginia knows their only chance at winning this game is by locking down Cooper Flagg. I believe we're going to see 2-3 zone defense from Virginia all game long, and that is going to force Duke to have to be perfect from the perimeter. And I'm not saying they can't be. Duke can hit 35-40% from the perimeter, any game, any chance. But this is a psychological trap in my eyes, Craig. So tomorrow we will bounce back on this matchup because I am on the under in this game at 131.5 as a psychological trap, Craig.
Well, I wish you two were going to be on tomorrow, but they are not. Right. They're traveling tomorrow. We're going to have most likely Raphael is going to be on Tuesday, Wednesday. Robert's going to be on Thursday, Friday. These two are going to be in New Orleans partying it up with the big boss.
Bash me or you call me the king.
Well, I will say the low total kind of makes it's kind of like when you see a 6.5 or 7 in hockey that I almost always want to play the over because people are like, oh shit, that's really, really high. And it's like, well, it's really, really high for a reason. Same thing when you get low totals in baseball. When you see a 6 total, I usually always want to play the under because that means there's a great starting pitching matchup and they're trying to get some action on that over. So I can see where you come from here. I just wonder if it's more of a play about Virginia's past defense. Their past defense. I mean, when Tony Bennett was there, they were pretty much number 1, 2, or 3 in every defensive category every year. And I hate that Tony Bennett's gone. Let's remember, there's already 3 jobs open in the ACC. This is one of them, Miami and Florida State. So I think this is the key of those 3. I think this is the best job. And I think NIL-wise, they compete pretty good as far as dollars spent in college hoops. And I think this will be a big bounce back next year. I hope they go defense. I can't imagine seeing Virginia as a high-scoring team. But you never know. Never know who they're going to get.
Craig, tell me I'm wrong. Was Virginia not the most boring team in the world to watch when Bennett was coaching over there? I mean,
Great defense.
Dude,
Great
I couldn't even
defense.
watch them play. It was 40 points a game offensively. I'm like, what are we doing here?
Well, not the championship team. That championship team, with Jerome and I think the guy's last name was Guy, with the head kind of the ponytail at the beginning of his career. Like those two could score, and they had DeAndre Hunter on that team. They could score. It's just they finally got everybody to buy into that defense. When you play that defense and then you can score on the other end like they could. I mean, they went from losing in the first team ever loses a number 1 seed. And they were the overall number 1 seed, by the way. Then the next year they win the national championship. So they were fun to watch those 2 years. The other years, not so much. But, it's like you got to find a way to win in sports. And he figured it out. He was like, hey, I'm not probably going to get the best. I'm not getting the Duke, McDonald's All-Americas like Duke, North Carolina. I'm going to beat these guys. I got to do the opposite. And I kind of like that. At least, it's like, now we have in the NBA, the analytical guys where it's like everybody does the same thing. We either want to shoot layups or corner threes. Layups or corner threes. It's like, I somewhat get tired of that. It's like, the Warriors went opposite to win the championship. Everybody copied them. Now it's like, I'd love to see a team go, we're going to make mid-range shots.
Yeah.
Like we're just going to beat you. The Bulls, the DeMar DeRozan days where he would just shoot
great.
Like every shot was 15, 17 foot, but
from the elbow.
No one else has won at one doing that. So I will see what's going on. Said, hold up, Rodney, I need the Baylor game.
I can touch up on that Baylor game if you want it, Rodney. I know Nick. Nick, what side are you on with that game?
I'm on Baylor tonight.
Okay. I'm on the other side for one specific reason. We just saw Arizona play Houston, and we're all aware of how good Kelvin Sampson and that defense with Houston is. Arizona had absolutely no issues scoring against that defense. So what do you think they're going to do to a Baylor defense?
Oh, the first half. The second half, not so much.
Yeah, for sure. And that's actually not a bad take. What's the current odds on that game? Anyone have the line? What's
Baylor
the line
minus
Baylor Arizona on this game. I think they're going to absolutely throttle right through them. I don't think Baylor's going to have the defense to sustain this Arizona offense. I think Arizona just is coming off a very pissed off loss to Houston in their most recent matchup, and they're going to want to come into this matchup and leave it all on the court. So some more controversy. I'm against both of you today.
I will say I like Baylor, just to break the tie here. I like Baylor, and the only reason I didn't make Baylor a stronger play, I was thinking about making it like a 6 or 7 unit play, was Baylor went into overtime. That was a very emotional win that they had to gut out. But I will say one of my favorite, Rob Vensoletti, one of the guys that worked with me at my last site, been with me probably for 20 years. He's one of those trend guys. And the trend is teams that have long winning streaks of 5+ games, once they have an emotional loss, it's very likely they come back with another loss just because you kind of you think you go the other way, but it's like you kind of like, okay, now we don't have that streak. And it's like, so and it really comes true. It really comes true in the NBA and the NFL and college football. But I think they could stand here where Arizona had that great run, got back in it. Arizona could have tied Houston for the lead in the Big 12 with that win. Now, with the games they have left and the schedule they have left, very tough for Arizona to win the league. I mean, Houston was going to have to really fall off to not win the Big 12 this year. And I actually think Houston, I don't know if you guys saw it, the first brackets came out, which I don't like that they do this, but I wish they'd just say, hey, here's going to be the number 1 and 2 seeds or something. But to do like the top 4 or 5, I didn't love it. But I did like that we saw Houston wasn't a number 1 seed. I think if they win out and win the Big 12, or they win the Big 12, either one, if they win either the regular season or the postseason, I think Houston should be the number 1 seed because I think the best teams come from the SEC this year and the Big 12. So if you can win one or the other, I think you deserve, because right now it's like I think the SEC is getting 3 number 1 seeds. I don't know about that.
Auburn, Alabama.
Seth, who you rolling with, brother? Seth, Arizona, Baylor. Who we with in the comments?
Arizona all the way. So.
He said Arizona all the way. My God. Rodney, come on, boys. Jump on.
Hey, you remember what happened yesterday, Griff? You had Iowa. I had Maryland.
I don't want to talk about that damn free play. Let that go, all right? I got the bottle.
Just the total. Like, I saw you guys on that one. I was like, man, this seems like an overplay. And I'm going to be honest. I had a 7-unit loser yesterday. I won easy on with Houston on Saturday. And then Sunday, I was I like the over in that Louisville game, and I like the over in the Iowa game. And I was in between the two, and I was like, you know what? Iowa's kind of even their totals are always high, but they always come just short. But man, Maryland played some great basketball. Great basketball. At home,
the arc, man, they were nailing from the field. Their defense was stout. They did everything right. It was hilarious, Craig. Me and Nick both uploaded those free plays at the exact same time. And I look at it, I text him, I go, Maryland or Iowa, who you on? He goes, Nick was on Maryland. I'm like, great, I'm on Iowa. I hope I absolutely thrash you. I look at this thing to end the game. We get blown out by 30. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I didn't even text him about it today. I said, the hell with this kid. You know what? You can have your win. I don't give a shit.
Iowa is something is not right about that Iowa program. We've said it before where they lost both of McCaffrey, his son that's really good. He'll be a freshman next year at Butler. The other one transferred to Butler. His other son is the coach at Butler. It's like, why isn't these guys staying with their dad if he's planning on staying? So I don't know if he's planning on, there's I think a lot of guys his age and coaching that are looking at getting out a la Tony Bennett because of let's be honest, the NIL. A lot of guys don't want to have to be the negotiation with the agents and all that stuff. It's like, hey, I just want to go recruit kids and make them better when they get here. And,
they're so small right now. Maryland dominated them in the paint yesterday. Yeah. I don't see Iowa competing against. I don't see Iowa
or the Big Ten this year. I think it's been 23 years, right? The Michigan State with Mateen Cleaves was the last time a Big Ten team won a national championship, and I don't see it happening this year. I don't see Michigan State, Maryland, any of the Pac-12 teams have come over. I don't see any of these teams being good enough. Illinois to beat the SEC in the Big 12 this year. I just think it's another year where we've seen the Big 10 just fall short.
Craig, I want to ask you your opinion. What did you think? I know you caught it because everybody did. What were your thoughts on that Bama-Auburn game? Was that a surprise to you?
I had Bama. I like Bama. We talked about it on Friday.
$6,000 parlay Bama.
When they came all the way back and Sears hit that deep three, I said, this is it. They're going to roll. But I tell you what, Auburn's deep. I mean, like when someone's not playing good, he could just put someone else in. That Mazzaro kid, the lefty freshman, that kid is just nails. I mean, like he'll hit you threes. He can get you going to the hoop. He's just he kind of reminds me a little bit of a Tayshaun Prince. Now, Tayshaun Prince, obviously great player in the NBA, so we'll see what Mazzaro does. But he's like that long arms, skinny kid, and he's left-handed. It's just so hard to play against. So Alabama, I think, has some issues because they do not shoot the ball nearly as well this year from three-point line as they have in the last 2 years. And the way they play, is like they have to hit threes because talking about analytical guy, he's a mathematician guy that's high school teacher just like 15 years ago. So I mean, this guy is the rise he's had, but it's all been about we either shoot layups or 3-pointers. He really has taken the NBA analytical method, and it's worked to get him far, but he's never won a championship. I don't know if this team can do that. I'll just be honest because they statistically just look what they're shooting this year. It's like down 6% or 7% off of last year's team, which is pretty much a lot of the same team. I had thought Alabama could make a run in the Final Four. I just don't think so. After seeing that game, I just think, can they win 4 games in a row, get to the Final Four, and shoot the ball well 4 times? It's hard. That is hard to do.
And now they have to go to Auburn in their next match and play them at home, which that's going to be the real telltale sign in my eyes of what we're going to really see out of this.
I mean, what do you think the line's going to be on that one? 8?
5.5?
No.
5.5, 6.
I think it's going to be way more.
Considering that Alabama in the second half was down nearly, I want to say 16, 17 point differential, and the way that they turned it on, they did show that they are capable of scoring and putting it on anybody. So looking at that game, 6, 6.5. If it's 8, I mean, I'm going to be all over Bama, Craig.
I think it's going to be in that 6.5 to 8.5 range, just because they were so dominant. Now obviously injuries can play a part, or if either one of these have a letdown between now and then, because the SEC, you have a letdown. I don't care who you are. And that includes Alabama, Auburn, Tennessee. You go down through the top 5 teams. Everybody's been had that where they, this game where they either just barely won or just barely lost to teams that are in the middle to bottom half. Heck, Tennessee almost lost to Vandy this weekend after already losing at Vandy. It's like you'd have thought they'd have been up. They had to come back in the second half. So it can happen. Maybe not as much to Auburn because Auburn can play inside outside.
Yeah.
They have big guys that can beat you up if you don't – if you help down, they can hit threes. I mean, they're very tough. Alabama doesn't have that. They do not have a guy that we can just say, go post up and get us a basket. Here, Seth's talking about Michigan. I mean, they've had an unbelievable year. Dusty May is done. I thought he would be lucky to go 500 this year. I mean, to be leading the Big Ten and most likely going to win the Big Ten. Now, granted, I think the Big Ten's a lot more watered down now with all these West Coast, the Pac-12 teams coming in. Like, none of them have been really good. I guess UCLA would be the top of, and USC would be the top of them. But, Washington's a win basically every time you play them. So,
but yeah.
And Oregon, I thought, would be the top of those teams. They have not been that great. So, Wisconsin's looking good. Wisconsin shot 72% the second half to beat Purdue.
Hey, somebody give me some props on that outright winner. I called that plus 5.5 Wisconsin on Friday. They beat them down, baby. Come on.
It says Duke could win 20 with Cooper Flagg on the bench. I don't know about that. Cooper Flagg is one of those guys that he's better than even his numbers suggest, because he's a great defender. He's a great passer, great rebounder. He does everything that you want. And then, he could go get you 30 if they really need him. Yeah. Now, granted, he has not played great at the end of games. He's dribbled off the foot, traveled on 3 game-winning opportunities this year. So he maybe on a close game, maybe not. But as far as the entire game, he's been lights out. All right, now, like I said, these guys are going to be gone tomorrow. Most likely gone rest of the week. Let's just say that. Maybe they'll sneak in one day. We don't know. But we're still going to be going on. You're going to have me. You're going to have Raphael most likely tomorrow and Wednesday, and then Robert Thursday and Friday. So just 2 of us. But by the time these guys come back this time next week, we'll have the NBA back. And I do believe the NHL back, right? NHL comes back on a week from today. So
back.
Yep.
So we'll have tons of stuff to talk about. So percentage of money on Duke tonight. Of course, Duke's going to have a big, pretty much every Duke game, they're going to be 60, 65%, if not more, as far as bets made. 80, 85%. I'm guessing
not out on what I'm looking at. I don't have the money handle on Duke, Virginia yet.
But you can expect there's going to be a lot of Duke money because they've been covering and just killing people out there. So you can't almost not put the number high enough if you're a bookmaker out there right now, because whatever it is, they're winning by 20. So, you're going to put the line at 20? Not usually. So, but we'll be back. Don't forget, though, if you haven't done so, make sure you go over and get in on that free $60 account, DocSports.com/free60. If you're a new customer, you can get either my play, Griffin, or Nick's play tonight for $30. You can get the college hoops card for tonight. And those are guaranteed to show a profit. If not, you'll get that $30 back to use for the next day. I believe that's how it works. Or is it they just get the next day picks?
They get credited back.
Yeah,
you get your credit back. Yeah.
So now if you use that to purchase a week pass, it's $99 per sport, or $299 for the entire season. I believe they just extend that, right? If you don't win in a week, they give you an extension to show a profit. So make sure you check. You get all the details if you go over to Doc Sports. So make sure you check it out in the grid. All right, guys. Don't forget, we'll be back tomorrow at noon with these 2 will be traveling to New Orleans. So you guys be safe, and we'll come back even stronger next week. Now, just because they're gone doesn't mean that their expert picks will still be up at the website, so you can still get them. Just going to be busy, of course, while you're there, so we're not going to have them on video. So make sure you check them out. All right, guys, have a good day. Hit that thumbs up and hit the subscribe button if you would, and we'll see you back again tomorrow at 1 o'clock.